Welcome to another episode. Welcome to another mini series and a new month here on the Legendary Leaders podcast and YouTube channel. I'm excited as always to have you with me. What are we going to talk about in the month of October? Last month we talked about burnout. If you did not check out that mini series, I encourage you to do that. We definitely need to avoid burnout before we get into the holiday season. Now, this month, I want to focus on roadblocks. Roadblocks to career success. I've got to be able to say the word correctly if I'm going to teach you about it, right? Roadblocks. And I know that that's not a fun topic, right? Burnout's not a fun topic. Roadblocks are not a fun topic. And you're like, Katrina, you're killing me with these topics that I just really don't want to deal with right now. Just tell me all the good stuff, because if you can tell me how to go do the good stuff, then I'll be fine. And I can tell you that, and you can go back through previous mini series and different months throughout this year, and you're going to find the good stuff. It's all about success and some different things you need to do. Excuse me. But what I also need you to understand is, just like we don't like going to the gynecologist or the proctologist or any of those individuals that, we just don't want to go, we have to go because we need to take care of ourselves. In the same way that we have to understand what the common roadblocks are to career success. We need to know what the risks are so that if we are already stalling and we are stuck at a roadblock, we can immediately understand, oh my gosh, I'm stalled here. I'm actually sitting in one of the common roadblocks that exists when it comes to the career success pathway, and I need to navigate out of it. Or I am going super fast down this road. I do not want to slow down. What are the common roadblocks that exist out here so that now I am self-aware and I can avoid these roadblocks and keep going at the pace that I'm going, right? We can't only educate ourselves on how to succeed. We need to understand what to keep our eye out for that will slow us down or stop or impede our progress so that we can navigate around those things. Both are equally as important. That's why I spend time teaching both, right? So we're going to spend this month talking about roadblocks. We've got 4 Wednesdays this month. I want you to join me for every single one of them. Don't miss these things. I know you're busy. I get it. I understand. Look, trust me, I know how busy you are. Okay? But I promise you, you've got to invest in you. And this, spending time with me, listening, going through these trainings, going through these thought process pieces that we're going through together, thinking strategically and adapting this mindset that you're stepping into as a leader, as an executive, it's powerful for you. It's powerful. It's helping you succeed. So don't shortchange yourself. Listen in every week, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and dive into roadblocks. What are we talking about with roadblocks? Well, again, I'm going to spend the next 3 weeks, so today plus 3, talking about the common roadblocks. And one of the most common roadblocks that we run into as we're navigating our careers, especially as executives, is really truly understanding, how do we define success? And this is one of the drums that I beat often, okay? Because we have to understand 2 facets of success. There are 2 angles. There are 2 individuals. There are 2 groups in this relationship that we have, our career relationship, that can define success. The first entity or the first person in this relationship that defines success is you. You have to define your own success. I've got an audio book that's all about defining success. If you haven't downloaded it, go to the Legend Life app and download the audio book for free. Go listen to it. Okay? But bottom line, you have to be able to define success. And there's no wrong way to define it. That's the other thing that we sort of get hung up on. Well, but this person says success is this, and this other person says success is this, and I'm striving for this. And let's just clear up the confusion right now. One of the roadblocks that we have is that we're not clear as individuals as to what success actually means to us. It could be a title. It could be a rank or position in the organization. It could be a base pay dollar amount. It could be a bonus size. It could be the number of days you get now on PTO, right? Any and all of those things could define success to you, or it could be something completely different, and that's okay. But let's get very clear, because if we're not clear as to what defines success for us, then we're out here randomly trying to just move forward in a career. And where are we going? What are we trying to achieve? If I don't have the definition of success for me, then I'm floating on the breeze out here like a feather. We have to be intentional. I see a lot of new executives start to waver when they step into the executive ranks because their definition of success used to be reaching the executive ranks. Now that they've reached it, they're lost. So the other thing that we have to realize is continue to evaluate your definition of success and change it as you grow and change. And as you make new understandings and learn new pieces of knowledge and gain new insights as to who you are and who you want to be and how you want to live your life. That's how this works. You have full permission to do that. Okay. So don't think that, oh my gosh, I've reached this place. This was my definition of success. Now what do I do? Just create another definition. Okay. But you've got to have one. And that's the key. We have to have one or we're lost. That's sort of our guiding light, right? Our lighthouse, our anchor, whatever you want to call it. That's what we start moving towards. So we have to have our own definition. Now, the other entity or the other individual in this relationship, right? And it is an entity, is the company. The company also defines success. The company has a definition. Let me get real basic with you on this. Let's say that the company defines success, and one of the ways that it does it is that everyone needs to be in the office, ready to go, working by 8 a.m. Let's just say that that's an expectation of the organization. Well, you may not want to be there at 8 a.m. You may not like the fact that the company has set that as an expectation, but nevertheless, that is the company's expectation. And so what we have to understand is a couple of things. Number one, what is the company's definition of success? Number one. Number two, am I willing to work within that definition and achieve it? Because if I'm not willing to show up at 8 a.m., then I'm not going to be successful in the eyes of the organization. And I'm probably not going to meet my own definition of success. Because if it's a dollar amount or a position in the organization and I'm striving to get there, yet I'm not meeting the company's definition of success, I'm not going to be in the organization for very long because I'm not delivering on the terms that the organization has established, right? Now, I know that as we're sitting here talking about it, at a distance, right? We're talking at this 30,000 foot view and we're being a little bit detached. You can sit here with me and as we have this dialogue, right? You're having the dialogue in your head as I'm conversing with you. You're like, well, this makes sense, Katrina. I've got to have my true north, my definition of success, but I've got permission to change it. The company is going to have their definition of success. And naturally, I need to understand what that is because I want to succeed. And okay, I got it. And I also understand that if I don't live up to that definition, I won't be successful. All of those things are very logical. But where we tend to hit a roadblock is a couple of things. Let's walk through them. Number one, again, we haven't set our own definition. We haven't sought out and we haven't tried to understand what the company's true definition is. Sometimes we just show up on the first day of work and they're like, yeah, you need to be here at 8. And you're like, okay. And you accept that information without consciously understanding what that means. Let's go from just acceptance to a conscious cognitive understanding of how the company defines success. Okay. And then the next thing where we can screw up is if we've got our definition and we understand what the company says, but we're not doing it. We're not doing those things. Understanding is just one part of success. The doing has to come in. We have to actually take action in order to be successful. So if we're not taking the proper actions to deliver on our definition and the company's definition, we're not going to move forward. Now, again, I know that seems so logical and so simple, But these are the things that we screw up all the time. We try to delay thinking about these things, and we can't. We're going to stay stuck where we are until we actively move forward, both in our minds through acceptance and decision making relative to the definition of success, as well as the execution and the actions that we must take in order to be successful. So, your homework today is, I want you to understand two things. What are the definitions? What's your definition? What's the company's definition? And then the next thing I want you to understand is, after you've got the definitions locked in, how am I doing? Am I actively working towards these definitions? Am I showing up and delivering? Or am I frozen? Am I stuck at a roadblock? Because I'm not taking the proper actions. Either because I don't know how, or I just don't want to. And if you don't want to perform, if you don't want to show up at 8 o'clock, for example, that's just not something you're willing to do, then I'm going to be fully transparent with you, because you know that's who I am. You're going to have to go work for another organization that doesn't define success in that regard. It's either you change your perspective and start doing the things the way that the company's asking, or you go work for another organization that defines success differently. You can be successful, but you don't get to write the rules of success. The company gets to write that. Okay? That's a big, unfortunate, but truth, right? It's an unfortunate truth, but it's a truth, and we have to accept that. Unless you own your own company, you don't necessarily get to write the definition of success all the way. Okay? So, go. Define your definition of success, understand the company, see how you're performing. Let's move you past this roadblock if you're there. If you're not there, then again, do the exercise so that you're now consciously aware of what the roadblock could be. And now you can navigate around it and avoid it and continue on the path that you're on of success. All right? I cannot wait to connect with you next week. We're going to talk about another roadblock. As always, go and be legendary.